Ha!
Hey everyone, Hassan here. Welcome to the world of Ha. Today I got another Power Rangers Ninja Steel review for you. These are the brand new 5-inch figures, the Action Hero Rangers. So this is it. These are your main Power Rangers for the toy line, the Ranger figures. This first wave, at least that my local Toys R Us had the 5 main Rangers. In the back of the boxes, we'll take a look at in a second, also shows a couple of villains, so we'll get into those eventually. But for now, we have the 5 main Rangers all released right here. And this is it. So I want to take a quick look at the packaging for each of these, and then we'll, get them open and see what they're all about. So this is your style packaging, and you have kind of a red with a little bit of blue background style packaging with the lightning bolt on the left. At first glance, like this bottom left corner-ish looks very much like the... was it the 5-inch figures for all the different Red Rangers, I think? So that kind of, it's a little plain, but when you get up into the upper side here, I think having the Ninja Steel logo with the Red Ranger and the Power Star there, I think that kind of makes the packaging pop a little bit. Hopefully it sticks out on the store shelves and we see that these sell well. But there you have it. It also says Pilot the Megazord, so the big feature that they're advertising is that you can take any of these 5-inch figures and put it inside of the deluxe Ninja Steel Megazord, and it looks like the Ranger's kind of piloting the Megazord. So that's another fun little gimmick that they're basically promoting for this toy line, is the compatibility between the Ranger figures and the Megazords as well. So that's that. So pretty simple packaging right here. So here's the Red Ranger. These figures do look pretty cool. I do like the 5-inch figures. The Ranger figures themselves are probably some of my favorite parts of the toy line because it's the Power Rangers. I mean, when you're buying Power Rangers toys, even as a kid, like, you want the Power Rangers, right? So this is kind of one of the best parts of the toy line. The back of the box is a little interesting because in the past few years, we've gotten bios of the Rangers. This time we don't have any bios. So I don't know if they just they don't want to spoil anything from the show. I'm not sure, but there's no bios, just a promotional shot of the Red Ranger. And then the Pilot the Megazord feature. So there's the Red Ranger with the Ninja Steel Megazord and sitting inside it. And as you can see down here, this box advertises the 5 main Rangers as well as some of the villains down below. So we'll see whenever those figures release. But there's that packaging for the Red Ranger. Here's the Pink Ranger right here. Similar packaging. Basically, it's the same packaging for all these, except the pose is a little bit different for some of the Rangers there. So here's what the Pink Ranger back of the box looks like with a promotional image. It is kind of interesting that, the promotional image they use does show the Ninja Star Blade, which in Ninja was their Morpher. Obviously, in Ninja Steel, we have a different Morpher. And traditionally, the Ranger figures do come with, here's the Blue Ranger right here, they do come with a mini little, Morpher for them to pose with. Now this year they don't. They just come with what appears to be, unless it's hidden in the packaging, but it appears to be just the sword. So it's kind of interesting that we don't have a mini little Morpher that it comes with too, so that's a little disappointing. There's the Yellow Ranger right there. So it only comes with the Ninja Star Blade. And then the White Ranger. So we'll take an up-close look at all these figures in a little bit. I just wanted to show the packaging. So pretty interesting packaging. So here it is right here. Again, I got these at my local Toys R Us. They released them early. So here they are. And without further ado, let's just get these open and take a look. All right, I got the Ninja Steel 5-inch figures out of the packaging. Here they are. And they look pretty cool. I kind of dig it, especially when you come up with these cool little poses like this, like just seeing the whole team together. I love getting the Ranger figures. It's personally my favorite part of the toy line. Now, granted, the Legacy figures are now even better. So before the 5-inch figures were my favorites, now it's probably the Legacy figures. But that being said, these are still pretty cool. So I want to take an up-close look at it, but let's just kind of just relish in this little moment for a second, just seeing the whole team like this. I think it just looks kind of cool to see the whole team together. So, all right, let's take a couple seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's get to it. So, first up, we have, actually, let's take a look at the sword that they all have. So, as I mentioned before, they come with the Ninja Star Blade and not the Morpher. Oops, this is going to be a little hard to focus because it's such a tiny little thing right here. So, as you can see, this is the Ninja Star Blade. And the detail is pretty decent on these. You can kind of see the little circles where like the pegs would be for the Ninja Star Blade. You have like the 3 buttons on the sword that for the toy it does nothing. And then, the back right there has that little bit of detail. So pretty decent detail for what it is. Obviously it's all one solid color, black, but hey, you know, it blends in with everything and it's pretty cool. What has been maybe a first for a little while at least, there's no pegs for the sword anywhere. So, you know, on the sides, it just looks like he has like ninja stars or power stars or whatever they're called on the side there, but there's no peg anywhere, not even on his back. That would have been kind of cool to have, you know, the peg there so the sword could just be displayed like that. I think that would have been kind of neat. So that's a little bit of a disappointment that the sword, if you don't want to display with the sword in his hand, you can't display it with the sword at all. So that's a little bit of a disappointment, but not too big of a deal. The figures themselves, though, are pretty cool with a couple slight little changes from previous years. So let's take an up-close look at the figures in detail here. So, obviously they all have the little sash here, the bandolier, whatever you want to call it, with the Ninja Star, Ninja Steel, the Power Star logo right there. So it's in red, because it's the Red Ranger. The helmet looks decent as well. You got the gold belt. Pretty cool. You got kind of the textured feel for the arm there. And on the back, you just have the solid black stripe kind of going across. I'm not a huge fan of the design of these Rangers. A lot of the designs this season, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of. But I think the figures actually turned out pretty cool. So that's kind of one thing that's a little interesting, is just the way the figures turned out. And also, the helmets, the outline on the helmet, the silver outline around the design right here is slightly thicker than what it actually looks like in the show. And I actually kind of like that better, especially when we take a look at the White Ranger in a little bit. I kind of dig that a little bit more. So maybe that's why the figures look a little bit better to me. And then you have the white stripe going across there. Yeah, I mean, overall, the figures actually look pretty cool. I'm not a huge fan of the designs, but these figures are actually kind of cool. I kind of dig them. And then, of course, you know, he can hold the sword and you can pose it however which way you would like. So yeah, so anyways, that is the Ninja Steel Red Ranger. Oh, actually, Articulation, duh, I didn't focus on that, so let's do that. Articulation for the Guy Rangers is all the same here, so the head rotates all the way around. Now the arms are a little different slightly because they actually have, I don't know what the proper term is, but this little joint that kind of ratchets into place, so you can kind of like peg it into place a little bit, like this. It kind of just clicks and clicks all the way around, up and down, and you can also rotate it all the way around. So you have a lot of flexibility there, versus on the previous Dino Charge figures, it was just all one loose, kind of like a ball joint. So it didn't really click into place anywhere. It's just up and down. But in this case, it kind of clicks in, so you have a nice, like, sturdier feel to it, so you can really get some nice poses. It also bends at the elbow, and then this whole red piece right here rotates around like so. So pretty good arm articulation. You got a lot of good poses that you can do with it. The legs, of course, you also have pretty good flexibility there. Basically the same with those there. Bends at the knees. The boots rotate all the way around. Basically, the legs are the exact same articulation from the previous season. It's just the improved little arm joints there with the ratchets that's pretty nice. So that is the Ninja Steel Red Ranger. So I'll put that back. And now that I've kind of shown you the articulation, I'm going to jump to the other Guy Rangers here and just focus on, you know, their actual design. So take the Blue Ranger right here, and we'll zoom in. I can't help but just think about how this is Yoshi's brother, Peter, and that whole connection. That was a really cool moment at Power Morphicon. But anyways, here it is right here. Pretty nice solid blue, as you can see. So the blue for the Power Star looks really nice right there, matching everything. The white lines going across. The helmet looks pretty cool. Definitely dig it. This is probably one of my favorite helmets out of the 5. I just think that that whole design looks pretty solid with the sharp edges right there. I just think that looks pretty cool. But yeah, so that is that right there, and you know, same kinds of stuff on the side there, kind of like little power stars on the side. You got the belt buckle and all that good stuff. So there's the Ninja Steel Blue Ranger. Same articulation as I mentioned. Okay. There he is. Then we have the Yellow Ranger right here. And as you can see, you can get a pretty cool variety of poses with these guys because of how flexible they are and all the articulation, which is great. So that's definitely a huge plus for these figures. So let's zoom in right here. You have the Yellow Ranger, so there's the helmet right there. Definitely a nice bright yellow, and I like the color scheme there. Black and yellow, black and yellow. Anyways, so pretty cool. Definitely digging that. Overall, same as the other Guy Rangers, but the color scheme and everything works pretty well. Definitely looks pretty cool. And of course, you can pose it all sorts of different ways with the Ninja Star Blade. So there you have it, Yellow Ranger. All right, now we are on to the female Ranger figures here, and this is where, and these Ninja Star Blades also don't, these figures don't seem to have a super tight grip on them, so just gotta kind of be a little mindful of that. Now this is where things actually get really cool because they've improved these figures a little bit. So let's take that out. And I'm gonna zoom in right here, and you can see the helmets. Looks good. Nice, pretty solid pink. It's not super bright, but you know, it's definitely pink, and so it looks pretty nice. Same with the black stripe kind of going down the side there. Okay. So for comparison's sake, design-wise, obviously the design is, you know, you can see similarly, the belt buckle, everything is there, but these female figures have a little bit different articulation. So the top part is pretty similar, the head rotates around, just obviously you have much more skinnier arms, which is still a little bit of a shame that just how, you know, the way they design these to be a little exaggerated. But these arms do not have the ratchety joints, whatever you want to call them. So it just moves up and down. Like, you have the same articulation, but it doesn't really click into place like the Guy Rangers does. So then you can bend at the elbow. This whole piece does rotate around as well. So you have some good articulation there. And then you have the legs, which can kind of do the splits. And what's nice here is you have kind of this little semi-flexible skirt. So it can kind of do the splits like that. And then, you know, the legs move forward a little bit. You can kind of push it a little. And then bend at the knees there, and then the feet rotate around. So you don't have like the full boot that rotates because this is kind of all one piece, but the feet do rotate around. But yeah, so the flexible skirts, the little opening in the skirt there is very useful. For comparison's sake, I have the Dino Charge Pink Ranger right here, and this figure was so terrible for articulation because look, you want to see how you can move the legs on this one? Ready? They like don't move. it just doesn't move. So the Pink Ranger couldn't do any poses. Like, it could bend the elbow, but who cares? You can't pose it doing anything. It was so rigid and annoying. So I'm glad that they fixed it a little bit so you can somewhat do a little bit. Now, it is a little restrictive, but it's definitely better than before. So that is an improvement, and I'm happy that they made that improvement. So anyways, that is that. So let's put the Ninja Star Blade back for the Pink Ranger. And then we'll grab the White Ranger right here, last but not least, the White Ranger. So same articulation, again, no ratchety joints, all that stuff, so I'm not going to focus too much on that, but I do want to look at the actual design of the White Ranger right here, especially because, you know, on the other Rangers you have a white line going across the sash there, but as you can see, you know, if we look at the Rangers right there, white line going across, but because of the White Ranger that would blend in, so they put a pink line going across, which is very interesting. And instead of a silver outline right there, they have a pink outline on the helmet. So that is different for the Ranger, color scheme-wise. But otherwise, everything else is the same. And to be honest, I kind of dig it. And what I was trying to illustrate as well with the helmets, where I kind of like these toys a little bit better than they actually look on the show. I have an image here of the White Ranger from the show. And if you look at the helmet, the pink outline is very faint, right? But then you look at the figure, and it's kind of a thicker outline. Some people may be upset by that because it's not, like, it's, you know, slightly show inaccurate. It's not a super big deal. But I personally kind of like that. I think having those stronger colors really makes it pop a little more. And otherwise, I'm not a huge fan of the designs as is. So I think that kind of makes it pop a little bit more and makes it really interesting. So I dig it. And to be honest, the White Ranger might be my favorite design, like, overall out of the 5. I think it looks kind of cool with the pink outlines and the white and stuff. I just think it looks kind of unique. Out of the different Rangers. The Blue Ranger's helmet itself is probably my favorite helmet, but the overall design of the Ranger is maybe the White Ranger. But that's a maybe. I'm still not a huge fan of the designs overall, but the figures are pretty cool. So, with that being said, there you have the team. As I say that, one member of the team goes down. There you have the team of Ninja Steel Power Rangers. Pretty cool action figures overall. Whether you're a fan of the design or not, you know, I'm not a huge fan of the design, but I think these figures are still pretty cool, and I think the toys really make the design work a little bit better, in my opinion. So I think it definitely looks pretty cool overall. And just for comparison's sake, I'm going to throw in the Dino Charge Red Ranger just to show you. And what's interesting is the Dino Charge Red Ranger is slightly... oops, hold on. Let me just kind of pose them next to the Blue Ranger here. Height-wise, I think it's the same. So, you know, it's pretty similar height-wise. But obviously the female figures are going to be a little shorter. So that's the Dino Charge Red Ranger, and just for the heck of it, Mighty Morphin Red right there, which is slightly shorter than the Ninja Steel Rangers. But anyways, that is that, guys. This is the new 5-inch figures for Power Rangers Ninja Steel, so definitely go check these out. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments section below what you thought as well. Are you guys excited about Power Rangers Ninja Steel? All these toys are coming out now, and this is it, guys. These are the new Power Rangers, so we'll be looking at these guys for the next 2 years, so it'll be very interesting to see them in action, which I'm excited about. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later. Hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Ninja Steel figures. I just wanted to pose it with the Ninja Steel Megazord in the background. Like, this is it. This is what your upcoming Power Ranger season is really going to look like. You got the Rangers, the main Megazord. This is the new stuff. So what do you guys think? Are you guys excited about this? Does this stuff look cool? If you haven't already, I've done a review of the Ninja Steel Megazord, so definitely go check that out as well. And lots of other Ninja Steel reviews also, which I'm really excited about. But let me know what you guys think, and please share this video and let other people know, because the more you guys share it, the more people watch, the more we'll be able to talk in the comments and kind of see what everybody thinks, and it'll just be a lot of fun getting to react alongside you all to all the brand new stuff, which is really exciting. So thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you later.